Welcome back to Reader's Retreat. I'm Paul, and as you can tell, I am putting books back on that one shelf, taking them off the other shelf. So, here's part two of books that I've read that is on these shelves. These shelves are going to be just books I've read, and that's it. I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm gonna use the other bookshelves for books I haven't written, and then I'm gonna put them on here until I run out of room over here. Then I will designate another shelf, bookcase for the more I read. But we have here an oldie. Uh, this is The Far Frontier. It's a good read. I read it when I was young, and uh, and I reread it after I got it. So I'm trying to see if I can find the year that this was put out in. Uh, Looks like 1959. So it was actually published the year my older brother was born. So that's pretty cool. Then we have Graveyard Shift by Michael F. Haspel. Uh, this is a urban fantasy, and the two cops, one's a vampire and one's a mummy, and that's all I'm going to tell you. 5 star from me. Now I need to get more of these, uh, more of this series. Uh, this is from Jim Butcher, The Aeronaut's Windlass. And that was a great book, a great read. I believe that's a 5 star also. And when I get the rest of the series, I probably will reread that one. That way I can reread. I bet I can read the whole series at one time. That's what I'm going to do in August with the Stephen King's uh, Dark Tower series, because I already read Gunslinger, but I'm going to reread it on in August to so I can refresh my memory. Everything Everything Breaks by Vicky Grove. This is actually a suspense, I would say, with a twist of paranormal, and this is probably the only YA book you know new YA book that you'll ever see me have, because it really takes a lot for me to get. Note, I'm gonna break it because I got a complete series of that's YA, so I got a few of them, and so this is what got me into YA. Let's put it that way, then, because I can't stand Harry Potter. So, Jeffrey Devers, The Skin Collector. Great book, great author. And he himself looks like he could be a psycho. That's awesome. Uh, but I love this book. Here's another oldie. I got a few oldies. This is Flying Aces of World War One. Right there. And the old ones I would try to see if I can't look at the 1965 when this one came out. So I'm older than this book. Then we have Huckleberry Finn uh, by Mark Twain. And I think every kid needs to read Huckleberry Finn. I really do. And this one here should be way older than me. And it's copyrighted. I don't know Roman numerals. So I can't tell you. Anyway. And here's the back of it. It's not in that too good of a shape. The plastic is coming off of the cover. It's not tape, but back in the day, they had plastic on the hardcover, so the hardcover wouldn't get. It would be easier for people to clean off. In other words. Then I got 2 books from H.G. Wells, and they're book 1 and book 2 of the outline of history. That they both are named the same thing. This is book 1. This is book 2. So, and it's from H.G. Wells. So if you like H.G. Wells, you might want to try finding you some copies. Let's see. Book 2 came out. No, this is book 1. I forgot to look it up and tell you what year. If it has it in here. I'll say this: these editions came out in 1961, but it originally came out in 1920. So. Then we got Kim Harrison. This is Into the Woods, Tales from the Hollows and Beyond. And this is a bunch of short stories of hers. And this has the Hollow, some stuff in there about the Hollows too, which is the series I'm reading, is the Hollow series. This is Natalie Lee. Song of the Dryad, and she is a self-published author, and she is really good. And I think a publisher finally picked her up, though. This came out in 2018. I ain't gonna do that on everything. I was just gonna do that on the old ones. Then this is by Tony Schumacher, The Darkest Hours. And this is a alternate history. This is not true history. This is an alternate history where Germany won. So. And this is Agatha Christie. And Then There Were None. This is leather-bound. And I don't know when this one came out, but I will try to find it for you, because I know it's an old story. It first came out in 1939, but this edition came out in 1987. So now, if you like cozy mysteries, this is for you to read. Dead and Breakfast is a Mary Goes In mystery by Kate Kingsbury. And this is a great mystery, cozy mystery. That's for sure. So if you like cozy mysteries, that's for you. This is another mystery, Heather Graham Flawless. Another great read. And there's the author herself. So, if you like mysteries, that's one for you. Then we got, well, let's get them in order, shall we? The Cuckoo's Calling. I need to get the rest of this series. I enjoyed this book, and it's mystery. It's not horror or nothing. It's just mystery. Uh, the Silkworm by Robert Galbraith. He wrote the. This is the sequel to the Cuckoo's Calling. I need to get the third book, and I don't know how many books there is of this, but and if anybody don't know who Robert Galbraith is, Robert Galbraith is a pen name for J.K. Rowling. So she goes by Robert Galbraith for her adult series, and then J.K. Rowling for her YA series. And then we have The Devil's Detective by Simon Kurt and Unsworth. Simon Kurt Unsworth. And this was an awesome read. I loved it. I really did. And we have I think this is the sequel to that one by Simon Kurt Unsworth, is The Devil's Evidence. And the reason why I stopped myself, this here is the first book of a YA series that I liked, and I never got back to the series. I got all the series. I just didn't get back to it because other books came up, or readathons came up, or me not being able to read for over about a year, and I'm just now getting back into it. This is Kathy Reichs, Virals. If you know Kathy Reichs, you know she writes the Bone series with Tempest Brennan. This is a book about Tempest Brennan's niece. So that's what that is. And here's one that every good horror person should enjoy, and that is The Complete Works of Edgar Allan Poe. And this is an awesome book. I've read that book probably 6 times already since got it. I got it a few years back, but I love it. I love Edgar Allan Poe. This is a book by Tananarive Due called The Living Blood. And this might be a good one for Halloween too. So, and there's the author right there. And I'm sorry I butchered her name, but she does have a hard name to say. Then we have another great book. I enjoyed this by Seren Listrip, and that's The Chestnut Man. I really enjoyed this book. And this is by Dacre Stoker, which is the great nephew of Bram Stoker, and this is and J.D. Barker helped write it, and it's just cool. And I do have another book by Darcy Stoker, and somebody else helped him to write that one, which is the sequel of the original Dracula. And he's the only one that can write that one because he is he's a Stoker, but he's also in charge of Bram Stoker's stuff. And they're about 2 counties away from me here in South Carolina. This is by Matt D. LaPina, Superman Daybreaker. I really didn't care that much for it. But to be honest, I never cared for Superman in the comics. Then this here is by Diane Dunn, and it's Octopus Agenda, Spider-Man. And this here is Uh, it says, inspired by the work of Edgar Rice Burroughs, Under the Moon of Mars, New Adventures on Barsoom, edited by John Joseph Adams, and this here is stories wrote by other authors about John Carter and about Mars. You know, we have people in here. Let's see if I can see someone that people might. Ellie Monset Jr. has a story in here. Uh, and that's about the only name I really recognize in this whole book. But anyway, that was a great book. And of course, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Yes, this is done in that faux leather that they use, but it's nice. It feels like real leather. It really does. Here, feel it. Yeah. But on the back here it says, "You are my creator, but I am your master. Obey." Then we got a book. I really didn't care for it. There's other people that loved it that I heard on BookTube. This one is done by Christopher Ballman. It's called The Lesser Dead. And yes, this is one that is autographed. And so I really didn't care for it. Maybe it was just one of those days that I was reading it that it wasn't time for me to read it, so I might try to read it. I might try to reread it again. And here's one of the series in hardback. I got mass market paperback and I got hardback in this series. I'm trying to get all of them in hardback. This was by Kim Harrison, and it's a book from the Hollow series. It's The Outlaw Demon Wells, and this is a signed first edition. So, awesome book. Awesome series. I recommend that series to anybody. This here is another awesome book. This is the first time I read Simone St. James. The name of the book is The Sundown Motel. And I do have another Simone St. James. After I read this one, I wanted to read another book by her. And this one here kind of, excuse me. This one here kind of, I wasn't too happy with it. It might have been one of those days where I wasn't in the mood for it. It's by Andrew Glavin. It was called Werewolf Cop. And this was a big letdown for me. I bought this because I used to be a big Man from Atlantis fan. And Patrick Duffy wrote the series. I think he passed away. He's the one that played Man from Atlantis. But I ain't sure if he passed away or not. But that's when he was younger and playing Man from Atlantis. And this is him when he wrote the book. Now here's another great one. Bram Stoker Dracula. Yes, it's that faux leather, but I love that. Now here's one that really surprised me that I enjoyed. somebody recommended this to me, and I can't remember who, but it's called The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. It's a classic, and this is about Chicago in the meat factory, and how this book actually made the government instill the law for checking the food. You know, these ain't my reading glasses, but let's see. The Pure Food and Drug Act is what this book inspired. This book is a work of fiction, but it had enough truth in there for the president to get a law in there to protect people from spoiled and contaminated meat. And what's got me into the real fantasy, I didn't get the rest of this series, is Battle Mage by Stephen Aryan. Orion, let's call him Orion. And this is the first book of the series. Awesome book, 5-star. And I want to get more into the fantasies like this. Now, I got 2 books left, so bear with me. I don't know how many parts of this that there will be of books I've read, but this is, like I said at the beginning, this is part 2. This is Nest House by Leigh Bardugo. I wasn't real sure about this because a lot of people was hyping this up, and I have to say that I really enjoyed this, 5-star all the way. This would be another one good for Halloween. So, and another one that's would be good for Halloween is another Anne Rice. This is The Witching Hour. This is the first book of the Mayfair Witches. 5-star all the way. And I would always recommend anything from Anne Rice in horror, because I love her work in horror writing. And this was her when she wrote the book. She's very young back then. And I think last year or this year she passed away. Maybe it was this year. And we lost a great author when she passed. Because I don't think I read a book yet that I didn't like from her. I can't say the same thing about Stephen King, but from her, I don't think I've read a book yet I don't like. So anyway, I'm gonna keep you. You guys have a good one, and be on the lookout for part 3. I'm gonna try to get these out as fast as I can so I can get them done and over with. So have a good one, and I'll be talking to you all later.